I think most of you, right? Yeah, it's been a challenge all the time. And in the school, when you are actually studying, right, people who speak English, especially in center school or small schools, right, if you speak English fluently, teacher will think that you are the smartest person in the class, right? And those who speak regional language, either Hindi or some other language, they will not look at you in a very respectable way, right? They will think that you don't know much. Because English was at that time, right now, I think things have changed now. But that time, if you speak English fluently, you are the smartest, intelligent person. That was a kind of I was a reputation English had. And it was a struggle for me also, because my parents wanted me to learn everything in English. They wanted me to pick up everything, right? And in center school, most of the government teachers, even they did not know English that much. English teacher used to teach you from a specific chapters, and those chapters were like stories. And then they will tell you that go through the all questions at the end of the chapter, right? Read it, memorize it, and come prepared with that, because they're going to ask you the question from those list of the questions. So that's the way things started. Initially, it was a very struggle for me, but later on, I understood the pattern, exactly how I would like to learn this language. From each sentence, I started picking up some words, removing verbs out of that to make it shorter, so that I can learn, I can memorize that quickly. And with that, of course, later on, I can fill up those important verbs in the sentences between the words, right? So that I can create a better response for the specific question. It was a complex thing, but overall, it helped me a lot till 8th grade. When I went to the 9th grade, things changed dramatically, because no more like a set of questions which you have to prepare. Because in 9th grade, especially in CBSE board, it was a new curriculum, and there you need to really know that language. If you don't know that language, you cannot respond. Like sometimes they will ask you to write essays from a random topic, and if you don't know, you will not be able to write it, right? If you don't know that language. So that was initial struggle, but overall, over the period, what I learned, I have to carry a dictionary with me. How many of you have carried pocket dictionary in your school days? Right, most of you, right? It's very relatable. We have seen that challenge. Whenever we open a chapter, we have to go through that and understand it. So that was my initial struggle. But overall, it actually helped me to build a strategy around how you can learn a language. Start with the words, then go with the verbs, right? And this same strategy helped me to learn different languages too. Language like C, C++ in the college days, it's the same thing. You know, when you start understanding how you want to present your thoughts, what you would like to do, whether it's a coding or whether it's a normal language in which you want to communicate, it follows the same strategy, right? Understand that. But yeah, that was initial struggle, and it helped me to actually build this kind of strategy and go with that. What you can see in the picture, right? This is a small village and my school. And you can see in the middle there, that was my old school, where we used to sit. We never had a table chair. Right? It was a school funded by the government, but we always sat on the ground and study. There was a dari that time we used to use, but that was a standard thing, right? But overall, any complex system you can think about, right? Whether it's a language, a computer program, can be mastered if you have a patience, right? If you have a patience and you can break it down, if you follow proper strategy, you can learn it. Then after that, actually again, some more thing came into my life. As I told you, in my family, I had five brothers and sisters. We have 5 brothers and sisters. My dad has a humble background because he was a soldier. His salary was not enough. My second brother, who was a very bright student, right? He is now actually in a very reputed place. But he was a very bright student. My dad actually decided to fund his education further. And that time IIT-Z was a big thing. Right? In 11th and 12th, you have to find out a way to sponsor, first of all, coaching, because coaching was very popular. Right? Without coaching, you can crack IITZ, right? So my dad decided to actually put a lot of money or take a loan for my brother. I also wanted to do my engineering, but I didn't get a chance. And I understood the financial situation of my family. That's why I decided to pursue my education with the Lucknow University, University of Lucknow. And that was a BSc Computer Science. Computer was always an important thing. It was new. And you won't believe that till my school days, I did not know about the computer anything at all. When I went to the university, that time I got to know about the computer science. And I was thinking myself exactly, okay, this is the thing which is getting a lot of popularity. And that time having computer was also a status symbol. In your home, if you have a computer, it's like a big thing, big jazzy thing you have. A lot of people will come at your home only to see the computer, right? What you have, or something interesting. And after taking the BSc Computer Science at University of Lucknow, if you look at the curriculum, it was very old curriculum, right? It wasn't really the modern curriculum. Nobody was teaching you C, C++. The whole subject was based on Lotus 123, very old way of using Excel sheet, Fox Pro, which was like a word star, very old way of managing stuff, purely a DOS-based technology, Fortran, old way of coding, and basics. That was another programming language. So these are the old language, and I used to think that how would I actually understand this language properly? Because in theory, you can go through those things, you can understand syntax, right? How would you write, or if somebody is giving you a problem, how would you solve the problem with that language? That's the way we started. So going through that, but again, it was in theory. Whatever you think, how would you validate was a key thing. And that time, we had a computer labs in University of Lucknow. And you can see there the second picture, right? We had a lab, and we had only 15 computers for the whole multiple, I would say, sessions. Or we had a multiple modules also around that too. Some people used to come, and there were 250 students in the university. And we used to get only 30 minutes in 2 weeks with a computer. That was a challenge. But but when you see a challenge also, you try to figure out a way to solve that challenge. So what I did actually, I befriended with the assistant of the lab, right? A lab assistant. We used to go out for chai, start having conversation with him. And this way actually started giving me some more extra time in the labs. Because since I was a friend, he allowed me to come inside the computer labs when nobody is there. And we used to play with the computer, mostly spend some time around how we can code things in Fortran language. And there was one more special computer meant for professor that was more advanced, that had a more advanced Microsoft, I would say, software than the other ones which were available for the students. But overall, whenever you see a challenge, you have to figure out a solution, right? There will be a solution around it. And that's where I learned that building a relationship is very, very important, right? If you have a relationship, you can go for a longer period, and in your journey, this relationship will also help you to go further, right? That was an important thing. And even if you have a problem with finding resources, or if you are limited on resources, you can find a way to get more resources or maybe availability of resources by making a relationship, by making friends, right? That's the one important piece which I learned during that time. But it was a good learning for sure, right? Understanding how the computer works and understanding how a relationship is established, how you can establish a relationship. It could be on a chai, or it could be simply asking a question, how are you, right? Asking somebody how a person is doing in his life, supporting him, or maybe just listening to him. Because that time lab assistant used to complain and crib about their salaries, and also complain and crib about how they have to maintain the whole premises, right? Just listening to them and taking them for a chai helped me to get more time with the computer. Now, at that time also, in BSc Computer Science, the education fee was bare minimum because it was a government quota, right, in which I got the admission. And one more thing which I noticed that after post-BSc, I did not know exactly what I will do. And since I had an army background because of my dad, we were pretty much focused on how we can get into Army, right? And that time, there used to be UPSC exams for Combined Defense Services, or maybe through which you can go into the IMA Dehradun and become an Army officer, right? Or there would be some other exams around how you can apply for the MCA, right? That was also one more thing. And this combined entrance exams, if you look at the curriculum, it was purely focused on what you learn in your undergrad or what you have learned so far in your school days. And I understood that if I will be away from the subject for a longer period, I might lose the touch. And that's when I started giving tuitions, right? I became tutor, also started teaching in a school, and that was a very small school, Lal Bahadur Shastri School in a small village. And that actually also helped me to make some money. Of course, I started getting some money. And when you have money in your pocket, you can do more, right? You can treat your friends, you can go and buy nice clothes, or maybe you can go and see a movie, right? Nobody will ask you the question. And with this, it actually helped me to refresh my knowledge on the subject. Because when you start teaching, you will learn more. Students will be asking more questions, right? And this way you will spend more time on exploring or finding answers of those questions so that you can cover those topics. And it also helped me to fund my BSc. So, I mean, I was paying almost like a 900 rupees per year that time. And this is the way actually I funded my undergrad. So it was a great learning. After this, actually, I decided to pursue my master in computer application. And that time there was a combined entrance test for a school, I would say it's a college from Army. It was Army College. It was under the Army Welfare Education Society. They were funding that college. And most of the time, they actually give you scholarship if you have Army background or if you have made, or if you've got a good score during the entrance test. And there I actually applied for it. Even with scholarship, the education fee was very high. And that time, actually, I contacted my seniors who were in the undergrad, and one of my seniors was in school, to understand exactly how I can apply for the education loan. How many of you have applied for the education loan for your undergrad? Well, if you had fun, that's great, but that time it was difficult. So even for the education loan also, you have to actually put something for mortgage, right? You have to show bank that you have something which you can actually, in lieu of that, you can get the education loan, and later on you can pay off. And for that, I needed help from my parents. And my dad actually trusted me that time, and he signed that, a loan form. And this is the way I got my education loan. I went for my postgrad. In postgrad also, I would say postgrad was a big thing for me because in postgrad we had got a very nice labs, computer labs, and I used to spend more time there. This is the way I started. And from there, in postgrad, after postgrad, I got my first job. My first job was in CMC Limited. CMC Limited actually was a company who gave me, I would say, a chance to work with them, digitizing the 3 major insurance companies in India. And those were the government insurance company. United India Insurance Company, New India Assurance, and there was a National Insurance Corporation, NIC. Those were 3 institutes, insurance institutes, whom we digitized. At that time, actually I understood the power of technology. And that time, CMC actually built one solution called General Insurance System, or Genesis, using the Oracle technology. Everything from end to end, top to bottom. If you look at the interface, it was built on forms, Oracle forms. Database was Oracle database. That's the way we started. And in this, for digitizing this insurance company, we had to go to the root level. You have to go to the small villages where insurance offices were there, and we had to work with them to ensure that what the complete end-to-end visibility will be there for headquarters. So in that process, we have to first of all teach them how to use computer, right? We have to tell them how they can take a backup of their database, because Oracle database was there, backup was very, very important, and teach them exactly how they can send those information from computer to the regional office, and from regional office to the headquarters. That was an initial project. It was fun doing that, right? Because when you are going in those offices as a computer engineer, they used to give you more respect, right? It was a different level of respect you will get it, because that time being computer engineer was a big thing, or software engineer was a big thing, right? So but with this, I also got to understand that power of a data, right? How regional offices are really looking at that information, how they are really evaluating the performance of those local offices, and then at the headquarter level, how they are seeing the businesses or what the strategies they can build around data to ensure that their system or their whole organization can perform well, the efficiency they can bring, right? That was important learning there. After working in CMC Limited, I joined BMC Software. BMC Software, again, was helping our customers to protect their data. They had a technology called SQL Backtrack, which used to work with DB2, SQL Server, and Oracle. Right? That was a focus. Again, with the database and the data, how to protect the data. And data was very important there also, because I understood when data is down, database was down for 5 minutes, we used to get a severity 1 issue. And I used to scratch my head, scratch my head to understand exactly why is a severity 1 issue if your database is down, if you have a backup, right? Then I realized that a lot of transaction happens. And in that minutes or fraction of a minute, if your database is down, you might lose a lot of transactions across the company, right? And if your company has a presence across the world, you will lose more business too. So that was an important piece. And data protection is not only about availability of a data, also it means that how would you recover your transactions, right? That was SQL Backtrack. And then from BMC, of course, when I was helping our customers, I was understanding these problems. From BMC, I joined IBM. Again, IBM was a big company at that time. It has its own reputation in India. Joining IBM or becoming IBMer was a big thing, because people used to, even the students, friends, or family, they will look at you and they say, wow, this guy is working in IBM. It was a kind of a big thing, right? In IBM also, IBM gave me a chance to work with a pharmaceutical company. And that time, IBM was actually giving a different, bringing a different level of a transformation in India. They were helping companies to bring their data to the data centers so they can protect the data, give them a different level of availability, and make sure that the application is always up and running so that you have less downtime and you can serve more to your customers. That was a focus area of the IBM, right? But working with these companies, I still used to feel that there's something more we can do. Because this technology, actually I was learning and I was just becoming more like an operator of the technology. Not really understanding how the technology works behind the scene, how it's protecting the data, right? How it's managing the data. You can understand the technology architecture, but without understanding the code, you will not know anything at all, right? So there was a missing factor also. Plus, working in the IBM, in such a big company, I was also feeling like I was pretty much boxed into a specific area, and I did not have any visibility around how things are actually getting executed or helping customers, right? And there was a vendor lock-in too, because nobody wants to share your secret recipe, exactly how they have built this technology, right? And again, with the technology, I also found that there's a lot of inflexibility. If whatever the vendor is going to dictate, you have to just follow it. You cannot do much around it, right? That was a challenge. And with this interesting challenge, right, I got the opportunity. In 2008, I don't know whether Ashish Mehra is here or not, but he was the one person who actually contacted me to join EDB. EDB was a very small company. It was like a startup. It was initially funded by few companies, and that time our motto was how we can provide an alternative for Oracle. Oracle was leading this database space, right? It was a billion-dollar industry, and our focus was that how can we give flexibility or choice to people who are using Oracle technology. And that's why EDB came into the picture. And EDB decided to use PostgreSQL as a technology. And on top of that, they started building or extending the Postgres capability to cover Oracle use cases. And it's very interesting, when I landed in Pune, I didn't have anything at all. Because from BMC, I went back to Chennai in IBM, and when I came back, there was no one there, right? So I stayed there for a while in a small, I would space or apartment, service apartment, which was allocated by the EDB. I stayed there for 10 days, and I used to commute from that service apartment to the office. In the office also, there were only few people. One of them was Abbas. I met Abbas first time there in EDB. He was also in the support, and I was also in the support too. And we were only 4 people, I believe, giving 24/7 support, right? And we were managing many customers who are using Postgres. And Postgres was very new technology. And when you're a small company, I was a 42nd employee, when you're a small company, you have to wear different hats too, right? But in short, it was I would say, great leap for me, going from IBM to a small company. Because IBM was an established company, everybody could see that it has future, and everybody questioned my decision on that. But I was not happy with the IBM, but there was a leap of faith. I decided to move to the startup, right? Now, when I moved to EDB, it was a big thing, and everything was changed there too. Everything was based on the open source technology called PostgreSQL. And in that era also, PostgreSQL was not very well-known technology. Wherever we used to go and pitch about the Postgres as an alternate for Oracle, people used to scratch their head and say that, really, this technology exists? And a technology with the elephant logo, what does elephant mean, right? Everybody used to ask this question. But we actually, but our mission was very clear. We wanted to show the power of the open source, and open source technology was also catching up that time. Linux or Unix systems were pretty well known across industry. Everybody understood they cannot be with a vendor, with the specific vendors who are giving the proprietary technology. They wanted the flexibility. They can grow themselves, right? That was a focus area. And that's why with that wave, we decided to go with the Postgres. Great. All right, so that was an interesting time. Now with PostgreSQL, we tried to convince so many people how to use this technology. It was new for them, understanding exactly how the technology works and showcasing the capabilities. Everybody pretty much settled with the Oracle, DB2, other technology, right? And we were focusing on how we can smooth out this journey, migrating them from Oracle or proprietary technology to this open source technology. And that's the way I started. When I joined EDB, that time PostgreSQL 8.3 was released, and it had came up with a nice capability with the full text search. And that time, the solution, PostgreSQL did not have a proper high availability solution. We were using the technology like Snowy for the logical application to provide the high availability around Postgres. But slowly, PostgreSQL showed its capability as an open source technology, which can give you the complete insight exactly how it's working behind the scene to give you robustness, to ensure that your data is always available. It also gave us a flexibility to support customer in edge cases, right? Now with wearing multiple hats in EDB, right? Because when you are small, you have to do a lot more things. You can do sales engineering work, sometimes you have to do support work, sometimes you have to do training work, sometimes you actually work as a head of a global support. Even the team is like a people of 3, right? So when this all the things, we were very much fluid, right? PostgreSQL was also growing with that. Because as people started using the PostgreSQL, they asked for some more capability inside it. And that time, in 2009, PostgreSQL 8.4 was released. In PostgreSQL 8.4, the extra capability was added around the maintenance. The vacuum command was completely changed. And PostgreSQL was becoming more robust in the sense it can manage more data, right, and can give you a more resiliency with a more performance. That was a focus area, and that was in 2009. In 2009 also, ADB, we also grew with a lot of customers too, because there was a trend around where everybody wanted to go with the open source technology called PostgreSQL. They understood the potential of the Postgres. With understanding the potential of the Postgres, our business was also growing. And with this, I was also evolving with the company too. From support, we also started remote DBA services. Remote DBA services where we had a one-on-one kind of a service to go with a 24/7 support, a pool of the resources who can now support more customers. We were scaling our business with the PostgreSQL too. Now with this PostgreSQL, there was one more time came in my life where we have to change from being only a remote DBA or DBA support company. We also wanted to give a professional services, I would say, engagement, or build a professional service engagement with our customers. When we talk about professional services, we were thinking about how we can give them end-to-end journey, right? Hari Kiran also joined our team that time. He actually came up with a nice idea to support our customers in a remote DBA especially, right? And we used to work day and night. Even the team was small, but we had many customers whom we have to support, right? And for supporting them, we actually build more tools. Because when you talk about scale, it's not only about bringing more people, it's also about building the strong ecosystem around the technology, right? And that strong ecosystem comes with more tools which you can add to it, right? And this way, the Postgres was ascending. A game changer thing happened in PostgreSQL 9.0. PostgreSQL first time got its own inbuilt high availability solution called streaming replication. Now, people can have a streaming replication using PostgreSQL. They can have a hot standby. Now, they can use hot standby also for offloading some of the read queries. They can do more with Postgres. So they got the high availability. They also got a way of scaling. Everything came up with this PostgreSQL. Now it's no more like one single instance of Postgres, which you always think about upgrading, updating, and doing more, right? So that was an important game changer. And with this, I also got a chance to go to the US. In US, ADB was also expanding its business. And I was one of the person in the US to establish this professional services engagement with our customers. Now, when we were working with the customers to establish and bring them from this vendor, from this proprietary technology of Oracle DB2 server to our PostgreSQL, there was also a wave around NoSQL. NoSQL was picking up a lot because now people were thinking about how they can capture more and more data from the users and ensure that they can give them better services, profile them, offer them, right, exactly what kind of products would make sense for them to go with. Whether it's a financial institutes, whether it's a retail or marketing, you can pick up any kind of a field. They were focused on how they can profile and give more options to the customers. Focus was mainly around increasing the customer user base and making this customer journey better. And that's why this unstructured data came into the picture. A non-transactional data, which was mainly only about capturing or profiling the customers, right? And that's why the NoSQL came into the picture too. But in that case also, PostgreSQL was the first company or first technology which actually moved forward in this space. That's because it has a solid community and developers who are working on enhancing the technology. And there we added the capability of JSON-B. That was in PostgreSQL 9.4. With this high availability, now you can do more things with PostgreSQL, with unstructured data which you're capturing. And during that time, we also published the first benchmark of PostgreSQL with a NoSQL technology called MongoDB. and we proved that JSON-B capability in PostgreSQL was much more stronger and better than MongoDB. It was 10 times faster for ingesting the data and with the performance of the indexes. And with this whole thing, as things were moving, we also got a new project from one of the largest insurance company. And that was in 2012 and 13, where we had a chance to make PostgreSQL as a strategic technology for this big or largest insurance company in the US. They decided to build a platform as a service for the internal users. And that time they decided to go with PostgreSQL and build a database as a service. And that was the first DBaaS solution which we built with PostgreSQL. We used the high availability, the streaming replication capability of the PostgreSQL with extra layer on top of it with PG Bouncer, which was for connection management, and giving the another layer of doing the automation around failover and switchover. That was a key thing, right? When we got into that space, it was also for me also in my career also, it was upscale because we were not talking about one database at all. Strategically, we were talking about how we can build a data platform using PostgreSQL, right? That was a big thing. And with 9.6, we also went to the PostgreSQL 10 release. In 10 release, there was more capability added with the logical replication. And logical replication actually allowed people to not only bring data from different PostgreSQL sources to one instance, it also allowed PostgreSQL to grow in a data warehouse space, right? That was a big thing. So as you can see, as PostgreSQL was evolving, the PostgreSQL was also becoming more strategic. And with this, I was also evolving because the conversation with the customers were changing dynamically, right? With this whole evaluation, right, there was always coming from this command line trenches because we were now moving away from the command line to more like in a strategic area where people are only talking about how they can use open source technology to evangelize or to actually innovate faster. Because everybody understood the open source technology is evolving faster than proprietary technology or the commercial technology, because those commercial vendors were focused on the customer feedback or specific set of the customer feedback based on which they were adding the capabilities. But in open source, whoever comes with the idea, whoever comes with adding capability, right, they were just enhancing the technology. Now, there actually PostgreSQL went into the strategy room. And this shift in the focus was a big thing, right? Now, C-levels or executives started thinking that how their business can evolve and transform with this open source technology. Now, they understood how this PostgreSQL can actually evangelize the whole platform, right? And that's why the AI, machine learning things came into the picture. That was a big thing. And that's why you can see my career also excelled. Now, not only from just being a sort of principal solution engineer or solution architect, also about how we can actually help customers showcase the capability of the performance of the PostgreSQL, how their data can be managed, maintained with the speed which they are looking for, right? And from there, I became a technical advisor for C-level people, right? Helping them to see how they can transform the business with the open source technology and PostgreSQL. And now we talk not only about the performance, right? We also talk about how they can use it. And that's why during that time, Simon Ricks actually contacted me to co-author a book on PostgreSQL. And there we launched this book, PostgreSQL, book which was well received by different people. And it's very interesting. You won't believe that at C-level, people also would like to see what you can do. At C-level, people have their own technical advisors. They ask people to go and look at these resources, understand how PostgreSQL can evangelize the whole environment or organization. So we were all pushing the boundaries, right? We're showcasing that PostgreSQL is no more transitional database. You can actually use PostgreSQL for analytical use cases, also for the AI and ML. And that's why you can see the ecosystem of PostgreSQL is also evolving, right? We're not only managing, maintaining transitional workloads, we're also giving you the insights, how you can use the data to transform your business. Those insights comes with the analytical queries, which are heavy lifting queries, and how you can use this data to give your, build a very nice user experience using the AI, artificial intelligence. And it's interesting, PostgreSQL was the first transactional database got PG vector. PG vector allows it to store vector information, right, which is like an embedding of your data. And in today's world, when we talk about AI, when we talk about machine learning models, right, they only understand these embeddings, how you can leverage this data with the embeddings, right? It was a big thing. And that's why we still believe that PostgreSQL can do more, right? And as the industry is evolving, PostgreSQL is also evolving with more and more capabilities. Now we don't only talk about transactional systems. We understand transactional systems are important. Operational data is important for you to transform your business. But with this, if you are talking about AI ML, this operational data is also a key part. And this trend you will see across industry. That you can see right now the acquisition of acquisition of crunchy data by Snowflakes, which was a big acquisition because Snowflake, Databricks, they understood without Postgres it's very difficult to survive in this space, right? Pick up any cloud service provider, you will find PostgreSQL as a service on their platform. As one service where you can use it, where you can use PostgreSQL to extract the value out of your data. So PostgreSQL will definitely go further. And it's evolving, keep evolving. In PG Vector, where we talk about not only of storing the huge volume of embeddings, there's a new storage engines coming up too. There are other companies who are building a storage engine to make it perform better, like OrielDB. Neon was also one more company. People can see that Postgres can scale with the data itself. It can scale with a cheaper storage too, like S3, right? In short, if you look at the PostgreSQL, or if I look at my journey, everything evolved around this PostgreSQL, right? Where I was as a system engineer, now where I am, is because of the PostgreSQL. The Postgres actually came from a one small open source technology where it used to maintain a non-mission critical databases to the mission critical database. Now it can maintain, manage more data. Now it can actually cover the use cases of the AI. Now it's actually CTOs and CIOs. Now they discuss about this technology, right? And this conversation is completely different. They look at Postgres as a technology for how they can innovate faster, how they can give more better user experience, how they can evolve with Postgres. So Postgres is doing a lot. So that was my journey. I went very fast, but you grow with the technology, and open source is always a big thing. Some people will say that why are you betting on Postgres, why are you betting on open source? I would say bet on that because innovation comes with more people, more contribution, a bigger community. Yeah, thank you.